Hey everybody, I got a cool guest today. Her name is Kelly Gagalis, and she is an online dating safety expert and dating coach and has some good stories to share with us. Hey Kelly, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about you before we get into some of your stories and tips and tricks.
Sure. I was trained, my degree is in marriage and family therapy. And what happened about 15, 20 years ago is when I would get my single clients, we resolve whatever they came in for. And they're like, oh, now I just need to find a partner. And I just hearing that over and over, I just kind of worked on developing kind of a system for helping people do it so they don't end up with the wrong person, making the same mistakes that they made again, end up getting, they're in a dead end relationship and just all the things, I just wanted them to be happy as quick as possible. So that's how I started on dating coaching. And then in the past couple of years, I realized when I would go to parties or I would talk to people that were prospective clients, my clients weren't having the experiences that other people were having. They weren't dealing with scammers to the extent they weren't like it wasn't happening. And I'm like, well, why is this? And the more I dug into it, the more I realized, oh, I've kind of baked in some processes that keep scammers away. They're like scammer repellent. And then I also educate my clients on how to be. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, what are some of your horror stories? Let's start with that first
Oh
of people
gosh.
have shared.
I could just cry. There was this woman she was on like limited funds and she got scammed out of $70,000 and lost her home. Like that was just heartbreaking. I both men and women, thousands of dollars. The hardest ones were when people would kind of know, they would know that it was a scammer and they shouldn't do it. But it's almost like that not wanting to admit that it was happening and they just couldn't give it up. They were so addicted to like these people can really you were describing being asked for gift cards. A lot of the people that I talk to, they never get asked for anything and they get emotionally hooked and then the big stuff starts coming. And
It's a
those are just
process. It's a process
yes,
that they work you through.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they'd be
Mm.
patient like weeks, months before they'll even ask for anything. But all the while they're gathering information to see if you've got retirement accounts, to see if like if you own your own home, just like they're picking their information.
Oh yeah, that's the question. Do you own your own home and do you live alone?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and in my TikTok lives where I play a character and talk to the scammers live, I've had two very boldly ask, well, how much money do you make a year?
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
depends what mood I'm in, but I'm usually a doctor, and I always tell them, oh, $800,000. I'm not a doctor, I'm a secretary, but they don't know that.
Right. We're all that's the number one thing is people have to realize is nobody on the internet is who they say they are until you actually see them in their native environment and can verify everything. You just can't take that for granted.
No, you can't. You can't. Now, okay, so I'm going to go from the list of the stuff
Yeah.
that you have on your profile.
Yeah.
So you probably just already answered this one. Why is online dating so unsafe?
I yeah, and I guess I just answered it, but I want to really reiterate, no one is who they say they are until you actually go to their home, see their family, see their friends, and that everything they've told you matches up. Now, recognize that you could be dating someone for a while before that actually happens. So you've kind of got to hold this lovely, loving openness with like just a little bit of skepticism. And it's a hard juggle. It's a hard juggle.
Yes, I always tell some of my followers, you know, online dating works. I know people who have used it. I just
Yes,
went to a
it does.
wedding in January. A friend's daughter got married, and I
Yep.
saw something about I think it was on your website about dating during COVID, and they
Yeah.
met on Bumble during COVID, and they did a lot of time talking on the phone to each other, and then they finally met, and well, they got married in January. That one worked out. Well, when I found out it was online dating, I'm like, Which one? I gotta know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and it's not website specific, like, but I actually I'm doing a interview on an ABC TV show coming up where I'm gonna like go through like all the different apps and the like the benefits and how and like the scammer moves on each or which ones are pretty scammer free. Never totally, but like some are better than others. But yeah, the hard part is 97% of the people you're going to meet online dating are really honest. You know, they've got their quirks. It's not like everybody's a wonderful human, but they're not trying to scam you. They're just trying to live their life and find their person. But it's that 3% that makes it really dangerous because it's kind of like, oh, I'm swimming with nurse sharks and they're not going to bite me. And then, Jaws comes along.
Well, one thing I always mention is you're going to use a dating app, fine, but make sure the dude lives in your area. If they don't
Absolutely.
live within so many miles of your city, don't waste your time, you know.
Absolutely. That's really great advice. And I have had clients who have actually gotten married long distance, but I gave them a protocol for and like it involved Zoom calls with the person's friends, like just like being shown around their house over a Zoom call, having dates on like just really verifying that, they said that they have this kind of house and that's what they're not living in an apartment, like that these things are lining up.
Yeah. So we're going to go to your other questions. I love this. You did all the work for me.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing to do to stay safe on online dating?
Oh my gosh.
There's
Never.
not just one. There's probably
Yeah.
hundreds. Yeah.
There are 100, but the big thing that I'm like, if everyone would do this, yes, please. So number one, don't use your real name. And when you do, and then so you connect with someone, and then when you connect with someone and want to get off the app to communicate, use a Google Voice number. Use a Google Voice number, use a Google Voice number. If you don't do that, you can be reverse looked up and they can find where you live. They can find all kinds of information about you. So if they want to hurt you or stalk you, they know where to go. You've opened the gate, so to speak. So, and I wouldn't give my last name for a very long time. Like I'm talking about we would go on a few dates before I would give my last name.
That's real good. I have I have a Google Voice number and I have a text now number for like when they want an actual phone number. Well, here, do this. Or I make my phone calls with to these
Yeah.
guys. You know, if somebody will give me a number, can you call this guy? I think he's a scammer. Oh yeah, I'm glad to call. They don't always answer, but I will call them.
Yeah.
You just answered the next one. How has society groomed people to be easy targets?
Oh, this is a soapbox and a half. And especially for women in our generation, like you can have it all. And then we didn't have, you know what we had all of? All the responsibility, all the raising of the kids, all the career. Like I can't tell you how many women I work with who were the sole breadwinners in their families that they raised. And so this having it all, like, and then on top of it, like, well, you shouldn't want companionship. You're at an age now, you shouldn't want it. Why do you need a man to be happy? And we're not talking about um being needy. Like it's lovely to have a partner, especially a wonderful person. So the whole societal expectation that you should be okay on your own and you don't need anyone just drives this need really deep. And so then sometimes a lot of my clients, especially the ones that may have interactions with scammers, will be like, I didn't even realize how lonely I was until I was on the phone with someone and they were saying all these wonderful things. So that's number one. And number two is we're also the generation that was taught be nice, be polite. There's a way to do dating that, and you shouldn't ruffle the feathers of the person. So it's all about you being accommodating. And so, of course, if you're scammers would love to strike it with someone that was taught to be accommodating because they can get a lot of traction in that scenario.
Those are good answers.
Thank you.
So, oh, this is a good one. Why do old-fashioned, gentlemanly, good manners put women at risk?
Yeah. Okay. So if someone actually has those manners, no. But the thing is, you can't tell for a couple of dates if these are old fat is this is someone that has old-fashioned good manners or somebody that wants to pick like an old-fashioned gentlemanly thing to do would be like, hey, we're going on a date. It's our first date. Can I pick you up? I want to, that's an old-fashioned, very gentlemanly thing to do. But again, if you once you give someone your address or are in their car, you're at their mercy in their car, and you've given them your address. Now, this doesn't come up as much for women over 45, but it does occasionally. And definitely for like younger. I can't tell you how many TikToks and other things I've watched where they're like, so I was going on, they put their makeup on what they're doing. Like, so I was going on a date and he said, can I pick you up? So I gave him my ad. I'm like, oh, like it just please don't. He's a stranger off the internet. Please watch the Netflix specials, please. So
Yes.
yeah. So not necessarily someone who is genuinely a
Mhm.
gentleman, but somebody at your first meeting that's showing signs of being a gentleman, you can't let him do that until you know him well enough to trust him or her. Because there's one on Netflix right now about a woman that killed someone, that she stalked a man for like 10 years, killed another woman he was dating, and pretended to be her while she was harassing him for 10 years. Like when we hit the crazy button, it's dialed all the way up. So you've really got to keep the fortress bolted and shut until you have been on a few dates with someone and it feels good and you've seen their world and it's real.
Oh, that's awesome. How do you know when someone is safe?
Oh, that's a
What
really,
are your questions?
I know. Like,
For me,
okay,
nowadays, it takes a while. Like you said,
yeah.
you got to get to know the person, meet his family, meet his friends.
No, I think you nailed it. It's time. Like anyone, I always tell my clients, you're showing up, they're showing up as the very best version of themselves. What you need to evaluate is over time, how often do they show up as that best version of themselves? Because we all have it in us to be a really great version of ourselves. But if you're somebody that can be the best version of yourself 90 to 95% of the time, which is where I try to get my clients to, and he can only be his best version of himself 70% of the time, like you've got to have a long enough time span that they can't go take a break and then show up like, all revitalized. So I think you nailed it with time. Even someone that you're like, wow, this does feel real, this does feel genuine, and you know you've got to just say, hey, you seem real, you seem genuine. I just hope you understand that I've got to just keep these safety protocols in place for a while until we really get to know each other, just because of how we met. But you so you can have that softness, because dating needs to be about drawing someone in and being vulnerable, but you don't want to make yourself physically, emotionally vulnerable to the bad stuff. You want to make yourself vulnerable to the intimacy and the connection.
Oh, I like that. How do I deter someone from doing me physical harm?
Oh, the biggest thing I think that deters anyone from engaging in physical harm is if it takes them a while. If you meet someone that they say, "Hey, let's meet for a drink," and you meet them for a drink and they say, "Let's go for a ride," you've just gone from 0 to 60 and it was a really easy hit for them, right?
Hmm.
But if you are like, hey, you know what? I can't do it tonight. Can we do it next week? Somebody that's looking for a quick payoff, wants to take something from you, they're not in it for the long game. They'll move on to someone, unfortunately, and I wish it wasn't this way, but they'll move on to someone that will comply with the things that they're asking because they're looking for a compliant person. So the best thing you can do to deter any kind of physical anything is keep your guard up so they don't know who you are, where you are, and make it sure it takes a long time. Second thing that you can do is make sure at the beginning of the date you tell someone like that, hey, halfway through this date, I'm going to be texting my friend, and letting her know. And then we're gonna have various check-ins throughout the day. And I also, and I just want to let you know, because we want to deter someone. We don't want it to be easy to find someone that harmed you, right? I was just reading something, a 35-year-old woman went on a date, went back to his house, he killed her and chopped her up, and they found her because he didn't, he, her, he left a trail, but that's not what we want to have happen. We want to deter it.
Yeah.
So just really stay and honestly, I think it's not so much that you're being tracked, it's the fact that you ballsy look at someone and say, I don't know you and I'm watching you. That if you're looking to hurt someone, okay, this is going to be a fight. I want an easy mark. I don't want to fight. I don't want someone that's sharp. I don't want someone that, will be suspicious. I want someone that's going to be easier.
Yeah. Well, in the 80s, I'm 61. So in the
Yeah.
80s, it was all like personal ads in the one
Yeah.
newspaper in St. Louis. Then there was this also thing called telepersonal. So my best friend and I, we did a lot of the telepersonals, and but we had a thing. I would call her, okay, I'm meeting this guy. This is his name. TGI Fridays, because we didn't have cell phones back then.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
the dark ages.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but then and she would do the same thing. And then when I got home, of course I'm gonna tell her all about the date, but I would call her, I'm home, I'm okay. Now the one mistake she made and nothing happened was on the very first date, she let the guy pick her up at her house.
Yeah.
And so I gave her a very long lecture about that. Don't do that. Meet him, and
Good.
but it was her first one, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And
I
the
mean he
odds
did.
are ever in her favor. So yay.
Yeah, yeah, he turned out not to be a mass murderer, so that's good. But
Yeah.
and
So,
this is, oh, go ahead.
no, no,
Oh,
go ahead.
so this one is an interesting one, and I
Oh, actually,
kind of,
I
oh,
didn't know you're moving on. I thought you're, I do want to say one thing about that and the deterring. Oh gosh, it just fled. What's going
oh,
on? Oh, so
I
there's
feel it. Feel your pain.
okay, so there's a protocol that I teach, and I want to. There's a lot to it, but I just want to say it out there that it's like, before you even go on a date with someone, you should make like making it harder and making it intimate. Like, but you can't just make it harder for the sake of making it harder because no one's going to want to date you, right? There's a way to make it so that someone has to actually be patient and want to connect with you. And that's what I teach in my mainline my dating course that I've transferred over into my course that's just about safety is it's when you do that, when you go through a protocol and a procedure where you definitely need to have a phone call first, and you need to and now we have Zoom. I would highly recommend having a Zoom call to make sure that the person looks like the picture. Because if you show up and the person doesn't look like the picture, well, even if you texted a picture of the person online to your friend, they don't know what the guy looks like that meets you, right? So anyway, that's just making sure you have that protocol and that we're just not like jumping off the handle and meeting up randomly, that this is really something that you're figuring out. You have a protocol for.
I love that idea. Zoom call before meeting. I'm going to tell everybody on TikTok tonight.
Oh, good, good. Please spread this.
Yeah, yeah. So now, and I know this happens to men, but you don't hear about it as much. But are men really vulnerable to harm in online dating?
Oh my gosh.
You just
I
don't hear about it as
You
much.
don't hear about it there. I can't remember the name of there's a
Yeah,
Netflix special. If you Google like Netflix special guy that got stalked, like and he basically, do you know it?
I saw one because he ends up getting killed, I think.
Ooh,
And it might
okay.
be a different one.
Yeah.
Um,
This one, a girl that he dated got killed, and the stalker assumed her identity and
okay.
stalked her
What
for
was the
like,
name of that one? Do you remember?
I don't know, but I could Google it really quick.
Okay.
Like,
I know, but there was another one, and the guy that was in it was, I think he was the one who was in The Devil Wears Prada, and he played Anne Hathaway's boyfriend.
oh, okay.
That must have been a different one, but it was somebody you least expected that was
Yeah.
actually doing the bad
Well, I mean,
stuff.
Baby Reindeer just came out. And so I think what more than physical harm, although women are capable of physical harm and men don't feel threatened, like a woman won't come at you with a knife or a gun, but she'll burn your house down.
Yeah, yeah,
And so men feel like they're safe letting this, having one night stands and stuff. But if you've got kids, your kids are vulnerable. Like, men have definitely lost millions of dollars to scammers for that. But I think it's very underreported how much stalking and how much terrorizing can happen in a dynamic where somebody has your phone number, they can create all kinds of Google accounts and just terrorize you and say, I saw your children at school. Like they can follow you Like,
Yeah.
so you, no matter what your gender, you have to be aware that it is not always being physically overpowered that puts you physically in danger.
Yeah. Now, I saw on your website, you were having a master class. Now, I don't know if it's the Swipe Safely one or a watch free master class.
Yeah.
It says start to own your own love life. So
Yeah,
is that
that
what that particular master class is about?
Yeah, that's about my dating, which anybody is welcome
Yeah.
to go there and do that. It's ownyourlovelife.com. It's a masterclass. It's just like the big things that I've just seen that people do that they don't realize that they're doing and they need to change doing in their dating life. But in particular, safety, I'm going to be launching in the next week an app called Swipe Safely. And you can go to and find it on swipesafely.com. And so there'll be a web app and a regular app, and it's going to be lessons that address all of these issues, but then I can really go in deep and be like, hey, here's what you do, how you do this, and here's how you do that, and here are the things to do before you, like, I have checklists, and just it's a lot, it's dense, but I kind of broke it down, like, because women in their 20s deal with different things than in your 30s, than in your 40s and 50s. So and then also, gosh, heartbreaking story. Again, my friend has a stepson who's gay, and he told me, when I told him what I was doing, he he teared up, and I was like, what's going on? He's like, I wish my stepson had this. He went to someone's house for a first date with flowers in his hands and got pulled into the house and gang raped. And
Oh
when he
my
went to the
gosh.
I know, and when he went to the police, I'm sorry, like, when he went to
Yeah.
the police, they didn't take him seriously because he's a guy and he's gay. So you probably liked, I mean, just it's it's only a small percentage, but the damage that that can do to you, to the rest of your life, we just don't want it to happen.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. Now what, give everybody your website address. I see it, but I'll let you tell everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So it's www.swipesafely.com for finding out about the safety stuff. But then ownyourlovelife.com is where you can go to the masterclass. And then I'm probably going to be moving to Kelly Gagalis, or actually
Okay.
I'm going to be moving my website, so I won't give that one out right now.
Okay, no, that's fine. Then I won't give that out either then when
Okay.
I put this out. Now, do you have any books out or anything? I know you do a lot of interviews. I saw that on your website.
Yeah, no, I don't have any books out. I'm really focusing on the courses, but coming soon. And hopefully we'll get to talk again because you're delightful. And I want to bring you into my group and
Oh,
have
I
you
would
like
love
help
to.
people and get the viewership, and just
Yeah.
this is so great to do it with the humor that you do it with, and to so it takes the stigma away, but really, like, when I do it with the passion, sometimes people are resistant, but when you do it with humor, they're like, oh crap.
Oh no,
You're right.
when they see me carry on, I can give references of some of my followers. I get carried away. I get goofy, and
Love
but
it.
that's just how I am. I'm just even with my friends I act, but this I get to play, I get to act in like a
Yeah.
role. So I
Yeah.
really get to go off the rails, and I fake cry and I say everything. But if you see me on here, I'm laughing my butt off, or when they're like wanting to give me kisses and I'm just like sticking my finger
Yeah,
down
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
throat, and
yeah.
and I think that's what most of the people on YouTube and TikTok, they see my reaction to them saying this. I like I've got a noose and gonna hang myself when they say some of this stuff. Just it's that kind of reaction because somebody will
Brilliant.
say, I just love your facial expressions, but
Brilliant.
but
Brilliant.
again, I just well, there's so much craziness going on in the world. I just think we need so much more humor,
Okay.
and it's really good. But no, if you do write a book, you got to come back totally,
Okay. That
because
sounds
I would
good.
love for you to plug it here, and I would love to. I can't wait to share this information tonight, telling everybody. I usually try to wait till the weekend, but I might do my best to see if I can't get this out
Oh,
sooner. So,
wow.
but no,
That's
is
such a
there?
compliment. Thank you.
Oh no, I adore you. I'm like your new best friend now.
Ditto. Like, we gotta play. I actually have the same Winnie the Pooh in my, or I have a sleepy Winnie the Pooh, but I'm like looking at your Winnie the Pooh. I'm like, oh my gosh,
It was
I
my
got
daughter. It's my
Winnie.
daughter's, and her
Oh,
dad gave it to her when she was like 3 or 4. I have not had to change the battery in it. It still talks.
Oh, that's
But
so
we
sweet.
were shifting stuff around and somehow he ended up on my couch. And I actually had like a Christmas hat on him and a Halloween mask and and I just haven't moved him, so he just stays there.
Oh, he's cute. He's cute.
So thank you so much for coming on. I
Yeah.
so appreciate it. This was I really enjoyed talking to you. You're very easy to talk to. And thank you for the questions on your site because that really helped me.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. This was fun and delightful. And just more than anything, if one person is saved from being harmed or
Yes.
scammed, like that's all I want. That's all I want is to
Yes.
nobody to have to go through that. So,
Yes. Yes.
especially the harm, because we can make more money, but we can't make more use. We can't make more people. We can't make a life that doesn't have a big trauma in it. So,
Right. Well, like my sister always says, like if you get in a car accident and the car gets totaled, she goes, "You can buy a new car. We can't buy a new you." So,
yes, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to Kelly. I think she's a awesome person, and the stories she had to share were great. So that's all for today, but I do want to ask you a favor. St. Louis Magazine is having their A1 list vote again, and my blog was nominated. So I would appreciate it if you would go to St. Louis Magazine. You can Google it, go to the A1 list when the page comes up. And under the category of arts and entertainment, there's a section for favorite blog. And I'm nominated, and I would appreciate it if you would go in once a day until June 17th and vote for my blog. I would really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for joining me. And remember, guys and gals, they don't love you, they love your money.